I want today to emphasize the fact of where believing enters into the mountain moving lifestyle. Because believing is essential. We're called to believe. Action follows belief. More than belief follows action. And action is really made possible as we believe for great things. In regard to believing, God the Father set the pace because in the very beginning of creation, it says that God created by speaking. He said, first of all, let there be light, and there was light. He didn't pray or cry out for light to just come. He just spoke it, and light was there. And then all the other things that he created, he spake. It happened. He set the pace for believing. Now we move into the scriptures. There's many instances of people believing and accomplishing great things. I pick out one of them, and that is Moses. God spoke to Moses, and Moses believed God. And believing, he said things he never thought he'd be saying. But one of them was, he went back and said to Pharaoh, let my people go. Now in the flesh, and without this vision, without this call of God, how would Moses ever think about going back and speaking to powerful Pharaoh and say, let my people go? It's God's will that they get out of this land of Egypt. And of course, you know the story. Pharaoh refused. Then came one plague after another, one plague after another. Moses would speak what was going to happen, and it happened. Finally, in desperation, Pharaoh released them and let them go. They left after the Egyptians had given them a lot of wealth, earrings, necklaces, other things, very precious. They left with a lot. Now they're fleeing, but they've come to an obstacle. And this obstacle really stifled Moses as well as all the people. They're standing at the edge of the Red Sea. What are they going to do? The Egyptian army is behind them, and they know that it's coming after them. The chariots will soon be upon them. They were frantic, and Moses kept crying out to God for deliverance. And then God said a strange thing to Moses. It's found in the 14th chapter of Exodus, and beginning with verse 15. And the Lord said unto Moses, why do you cry out to me? Speak to the children of Israel that they go forward. You're talking to the wrong person. Talk to them. Tell them to come on, let's go. Verse 16, lift up your rod, stretch out your hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. Moses spoke, he believed, and then it happened. God said, this is the way that it works. You're called to go this way. You're called to believe me. I'm not asking for perfection in somebody. I'm not asking for somebody to have more knowledge than anyone else in all the world. I'm looking for those individuals who believe me. It was Moses. And as he said these things, the sea and held up the rod, the sea began to part. And the children passed through over the sea. And of course the Egyptians came along and they thought, oh, now we got them. They just keep following them. But when they got into the midst of the sea, the water rolled back and they were drowned. They have been deliverance and delivered from this tremendous problem. But they did it by believing. In the New Testament, we find a great emphasis upon believing. And of course, one of the chapters that stresses it so much is Hebrews chapter 11. It's called the faith chapter. And it mentions many people who by faith, they believe God. They have faith and great things happen. And in the 6th verse, it's rather sums it all up, because there it reads, but without faith, it is impossible to believe him. That is, it is impossible to believe God without faith. For he that comes to God must believe that he is. That's the first important thing. Believe that he is. And then that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. First, believe he is. Then you seek. You don't say, if you do this or you do that for me, God, I will really believe in you. God says, my child, if you believe in me, I'll do this. Just the opposite. The carnal mind says, if this happens, I'm going to think about believing in God. But the spiritual side says, believe in God, and blessings will happen. This is true in the ordinary life. It's true in the spectacular areas of life where God calls you to achieve something that you couldn't possibly do it on your own. And things just begin to fall into place. I know when God called me to start the Total Living Center, we had nothing. No membership, nothing, no money. But I felt definitely he was speaking to me. I believed God, took that step. The Total Living Center has developed into one of the largest and most effective ministries to the needy poor in all of our area. But I first had to believe, and then things happened. I couldn't wait until I had everything, and everything worked out. Couldn't wait until I had a building. Couldn't wait until I had a balance in a bank account. Couldn't wait until I had people strolling behind me. I had to do what God was calling me to do. I believed God, and God has blessed abundantly. So in mountain moving lifestyle, that which you're facing today and you're wondering about, but you feel deep in your being, just believe God's calling it, and He's going to supply what's needed. Trust Him for health, guidance in business, or whatever it might be, whatever that mountain or mountains, rebuke them and believe in Jesus' name.